Welcome to Mahiku A'o Mai. So we're about April, May, June, July. We're about 15 months into it now. And as you can tell, I'm standing in the front of the driveway area and just giving you a brief overview. So that blue you see right here, that's a dog's house. And then behind it, you might see a bit of my tent. And then you see the kitchen area. So say hi to Buddy, he's still there to greet us. We're gonna walk through, looking at Phoenix, checking out a table he just made with pallets. That's gonna be one of our work tables. And I guess he's testing it out for sturdiness and it looks pretty good. He's still on it. So that's one free way to build for smaller projects. Here's another one that Leilani built. And that's to house our gardening stuff. And then I'll stop right here. You can see she's got Project Lettuce going on. Okay, and then the wind blows the mess around a little bit. And this right here that we're looking at, this is a compost box that I built. And we put vetiver in front of it to hold the soil back because eventually that box is going to go down. So as it goes down, the logs may fumble a bit. This right here, this is one of our Cacao volunteers that came out of the initial compost pile. I'm going to do a brief overview. We backfilled some of this area, and as you can tell, we have a lot more backfilling to do. But that's what we did. We mulched down the compost to fill it up. And just to add something interesting, we put the biochar in one section, just to throw some color in there. So if you look up, we used to think that we would never see the farm looking this good. I don't think we dreamed that it would look this good, and it's still in its beginning stages. So if you see the bright green in the background over there, that's the next property over, and that's a cane grass field. Just gonna take a brief look around. What used to be a big pile of compost back there is another box that we built. The entrance to our living areas. And that's constantly a work in progress as we domesticate it. So today, we did a little harvesting when we woke up. We had quite a few things. If you look back here, you can see there's 2 gourds and a coconut there that's left from last week's harvest. And Cowboy. Our dog just ran out after another dog. And if you look down here, there's a bit of a ditch behind the compost bin. There's more vetiver to hold that up. Some logs until the vetiver takes action, and there's a ditch there. That ditch is for water to flow because it's a natural easement. You can see we're cultivating some Cacao throughout the farm. We do have our mullah in the back, or in the first cane field. This is our entrance area. I love the lush foliage here that greets you with our tea leaf for a blessing. If you look right here, we harvested from this bush earlier. That's Poha Berry. For some other people, they will know those as tomatillos. And they're tardy. It's kind of like nature's Sour Patch Kids. And so I'll give you a close-up of one. If you can see it right there. Okay, they grow in what looks like little paper lanterns, and those ones aren't ready yet. But you'll break this paper open and it will reveal the berry inside. That one's not ripe yet. We have some of our gingers here. We have about 5 to 8 varieties. Okay, this is just one. That's our Cuban red banana. It's pretty tall. And it hasn't produced any bananas yet. So you can see here, it's one of our papaya trees. And then we have another one here. It's chock full of papayas. So we've already begun harvesting those. We share with our community. We have a little ginger patch over here. And then this garden bed, we haven't quite settled it yet. It's getting there. We have more coconut. We harvested that little lilycoy bush right here. It's actually on a trellis, but it's gotten so thick, it's just like a bush now. Next to that, that's an ice cream bean tree. And if we look back towards the Cuban red, we're gonna zero in. That's our jackfruit tree amongst the papayas. So I'm gonna walk through there. You can see the backside of our spinach. That right there is our longevity spinach. And then that bush, that's another ice cream bean. Off to the left, you see our bele, also known as Tongan spinach. And looking back into the campsite, you see we have some building projects going on. And our usual pathway, and just below that, these are pineapples. So give it another few months, they'll be producing. And we're looking backwards again towards the driveway. You can see my car back there. It really has turned out so amazing. So I'm gonna zero back out so you can kind of get a look. We have a lot of different biodiversity going on from the back of the driveway all the way through. Going past our lilycoy bush and our bele, we have another jackfruit tree. Just beyond that, another ice cream bean. And this is another unsettled garden bed. So what we did was, if you look in this crevice over here, and I'll zero into it, that is actually a lava vent, and it's been closed. Well, mostly closed. But it's exposed, and therefore we're going to keep it exposed. Around the edges, you see this is a different kind of ginger here, and it's beautiful. It grows in a swirl. And this right here is blue vervain. So the flowers aren't visible at this moment. However, oh, here goes one. I've showed you this before. And the bees absolutely love those flowers. So we're going to keep it going. I'm going to walk in between our ice cream bean and our jackfruit towards our spinach area. And 'tis the season to lose its leaves. But here's our fig tree. Now the pigs have raided it. We didn't get a chance to harvest any of that. Not this year. Hopefully it'll be taller next year and the pigs won't get to it before we do. So in this unsettled garden bed, if I back up and zero out, you'll be able to see. So the lava vent is over there, and that's the rock that it sits on. And it drops down below over here. So we've been backfilling that with compost. And these leaves that are taken over, which I'll have to zero into that for you. Those are sweet potato. Okay. So we're giving them a chance to take in, and behind it you can see we have a breadfruit tree. Let me back out so you can see what I see. The dog is wrestling his pet unicorn. And well, bye-bye cowboy, bye Kaimoni. This tree on the corner here, that's a male papaya tree. They don't produce any fruit, but the flowers are very fragrant. Looking back, that's more blue vervain. All this bush here is blue vervain. That's for the bees. We have this beautiful noni tree. This one's just a baby. If you recall, it was just a sprout when we first got the land. And now it's growing into a lovely tree. And our proud little cowboy has successfully conquered his unicorn. He's happy. We're happy. Going back towards our building area, you can see that I've built a branch wall that goes around, and it circles, encompasses our building area. So that right there is the beginning of our bathroom building. Phoenix testing the chair. I guess we're going to see if the chair is sturdy next. And then we have this guy here. His name is Willy Willy, and he typically grows on the drier sides of the island. So we planted him on a rock using biochar, which is really helpful to his growth. For those of you that have watched our videos from the beginning, this is what we've had to fight through all the way to get what we've done. So that's a lot of vine going across a lot of treetops and coming down, cascading onto the ground and growing back up. Let's have an in-depth look at our noni. This is such a fascinating fruit. So you can see the flower, and that bulb in the center is actually the fruit forming. So we'll reveal the next fruit, which is a little more developed and has a few flowers on it. Eventually, it doesn't have any flowers, and it grows these little nodules, and it's hard and bumpy. Then it starts to lighten up and turn golden until it's almost white. Now on this branch, the one that was ready, we've already harvested earlier. You might be able to see there's one there, and back there there's one that's almost ready. So looking at our second lane compost bin, basically stacked the sticks like we did with the first one and made this bin. And our male papaya flowers are the most exquisite little flowers. They're so fragrant. We have vetiver at the bottom of the hill to hold any soil that comes down that little slope there. And Buddy's sister tree. That's sister, the gunpowder tree. It's the second one that greets you when you're exiting the beginning of the farm and entering towards the remainder of the property. So if you look here, this bush is actually a vine, and we harvested this today, so we're unlikely to find any fruits in here now, but these are our sugar snap peas. And so you can look at our pictures and see that harvest. We have some fern just below our coconut, and we have another papaya behind it. Now, some of these things that we've planted and some of these things were volunteers, and we let it go, and if there's a problem, we'll deal with that at that time. This is another ice cream bean. It's good to have a lot of beans throughout your property because they are nitrogen fixing plants, and so they will help your soil along the way. And if I move past it, you're able to see our green onion garden. And believe it or not, green onions grow flowers and bulbs. So there go the flowers of one. You'll have to look at our pictures to see the bulbs. See, we have another breadfruit tree behind there, and slightly over from that, there's another jackfruit tree. So in the background, you can see that's another lilikoi trellis that's starting. More coconut. We're going to have a circle. And we are now facing our driveway again at a further distance. We walk up just a little, and I'm sure you can see that huge yellow banana leaf hanging out on the left there. But on the right side, we've got some bananas growing. This is exciting times at Mahiku A'o Mai. We, let me see, what else did we get today? We got spinach, we got lilikoi, we got papaya, green papaya, which is good for boiling for soups. Noni, basil, both Italian and Thai basil, which I'll show you in a moment. Rosemary, and green onion. Now we're up at the top. And that one there, that is Grandma the Gunpowder, who is adjacent to Big Sister the Gunpowder. And what we're looking at back there, that's the area that used to be the cane field. We have here new garden beds being prepared. This one's had mulch and cardboard, and that's killing the weeds out right now, smothering the weeds out, and Cowboy wants to conquer his unicorn on the compost pile. We're going to turn around and look back. We see our second lane compost bin. And it's pretty filled to the max. You can see Phoenix in the background of the building area. He's probably writing a list of what we've done today. And you've seen a lot of filming of all of this strip. Because this is the strip that we've been working on since day one. Now, that right there, that's our guava tree. If I walk over to the guava tree, we'll see that it's producing flowers and fruit. So we may be able to harvest that in another few months. Not sure how many, but it's definitely guava season. And you can see there's two fruits right there. And I lost the flowers. There we go. There's some more flowers there. Let's get a close-up of a flower in its glory. That is absolutely beautiful. And those flowers turn into these little guys, which become the guavas we eat. I just love the flower. This is at the end of what used to be the African tulip section and the beginning of what used to be the king grass, which is now slowly becoming more tame. In this area you'll see there's some swirly ginger and tea leaf. Next to that, those babies, those bright babies, that's turmeric, also known as Olena in Hawaiian. Behind that there's another lilikoi trellis beginning. And this right here is a Chico fruit tree. So it's kind of like, tastes like a cinnamon apple. It's, I guess, a form of an apple. And it's very popular in the Philippines. I'm pretty sure that that's where it comes from. These are some of the baby bananas that we propagated. Some pineapples that were recently planted too close together. Another banana. And the dog wrestling the unicorn. So the dog, backstory to that is the dog used to be afraid of the camera. And now he does everything he can to get on it. So this area of bush that you see right here, that's all ginger and vervain. The bees like to play there. We like the bees. And so we let that go. You'll see that there's a lot of that in between our growth areas. And down here, the flat green that you see over there, that's some spinach that we just propagated. It'll liven up in about a week or two, as this has already livened up. And we decided that if we have to put up with these trees that have these ginormous, that is like as big as my waist, roots, we're going to use them as garden boxes. And that way we won't have to deal with so many weeds, but we'll be able to harvest more food. So here's the old cane grass field. You see an opening over there. We have lemon trees in that area, and that right there is one of our older noni trees. So it was dying from being smothered by other plants when we got here. It's been making its way back since we've cut back in. Of course, we have to cut that area back again. You see these dark circles? Those are cacao. And as you can tell, Some of them have taken, some of them have not. So that was our first run, and we had volunteers here who planted those for us. We'll see how that goes, and from there we'll cultivate further as we learn. If I zero out a little bit, all the cane grass you see here, that's actually a compost pile, and the cane grass is growing in the compost. So if you look in the beginning here, where it looks messy, we've been pulling the compost pile apart, pulling the sticks out of it so that we can harvest the soil that's beneath it. And that is our, I guess you could call, sorting area. And that we are now on the back side of Sister, and you see Buddy off in the distance down there at the driveway. Used to take us about a half hour to go this distance from Buddy to Sister. Now it takes about 2 minutes. Would be a lot faster if I wasn't just talking. But I really want to take the time to show you. We've developed a lot. It's a lot of hard work. Tell you what though, get you in shape. So there you see we have a couple more papaya trees. There's a short one and taller ones behind it. And this fence line that you can see right here, that's another lilikoi trellis. It's in its beginning stages. To the left of that, if you see over here with the sticks, those are actually potatoes. They're just your basic white potatoes. And you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 bright green lemon trees off in the distance. And there's the noni. Then there's a big dead tree with lilikoi vine. It's what lilikoi does when it's not trellised or controlled. Next to that, this sloppy looking thing, it was a feature that came with the property. That is cane grass growing on a treetop. The tree there is Brazilian pepper. And if you know about those, they starts off as a bush and it winds and it grows into a big scary tree. Well, the cane grass grew over it, and when we clean up this section, again, it's been cleaned up numerous times, but when we clean up the section in front of it, we'll be able to enter that. And it's about 8-foot round hut inside. The cane grass you see along the back, and you see like the brownish and some cane grass in front of it, that's another cane grass compost pile. Of course, the cane grass is grown from the top again. And that's alright, because we're still clear in the field. Walking along the lilikoi trellis, we come across our first garden bed. That's the Thai basil. There's peppers. There's 3 different types of peppers in here. So we have Serrano, Anaheim, and I believe the last one is another kind of chili pepper or ghost pepper. We have our Italian basil on this side. And then in front of it, we have more turmeric. So if you know anything about natural healing, turmeric is a cure for over 580 ailments. I'm going around our Thai basil. Let's see if I can get a close up. The flowers are absolutely beautiful. And they're very, very small. So I'm going to zoom out of there so we can walk behind and show you our eggplants. So this is eggplant number 2. And I think we harvested the eggplant earlier in the week. So I believe we just have some flowers right now. There's more turmeric babies starting. Our rosemary bush has gotten quite big and fragrant. And this is our other eggplant. Although this guy not only doesn't have fruit because we've already harvested earlier in the week, but he's being eaten by bugs. So we're going to have to get some neem oil and prevent this from continuing. But it's flowering quite a bit, indicating that we have a lot more fruits to pull later in the season. And going back to the overall cane field, back there, I'll just zero in. We began our first mala of Cacao. So that's our first Cacao section. And going along on the top portion where you see a lot of darkness, it's rocks and garden bed. That was where we initially were cultivating the Cacao because it was prematurely given to us. We weren't ready for it. Now that we're ready, we're putting that together. Moving along, the second garden section. That right there is Hawaiian chili pepper. We have a little fern on the ground at the foot of our lemon tree. And one more lemon tree on the end. So of course we've been working and cultivating, weeding, and shaping every day. And in the course of that comes random turmeric babies in random places. This right here, I know it looks like green onion. This is actually shallots. Okay, so I wonder if I take this guy off. It definitely smells like a shallot. That's good to know. This looks like okay, something was definitely planted in here, and that's more shallots. Well, this is kind of all we have to show you at the time. We have recently planted bell peppers, and if I zoom out, you can see what we did. We just used the sticks that we cut. We used the rocks that we find. But there's no need to spend a lot of money buying things that are not going to biodegrade in the soil, that are not going to work with you, and are going to cost you a lot of money. Now if you look over here, this was where we started cultivating the Cacao. So of course there still is some. And those are just cane grass shreds, because the cane grass, the roots were still deeply embedded in this area. So we're having to take our Cacao out when it's ready for harvest and move it to a better location. Up on top, we have more Cacao here. And we have something, and of course you can see the cane grass is slaughtered back there. If you look at the ground, you can see there's definitely roughage going on. It's actually the pigs, and they're raiding us for this in that garden bed, and that's a native Hawaiian plant called Pia, also known as arrowroot. They raided us last year, but the remnants left behind grew back, and we cultivated it again, and they're trying to raid it again. So here's our preview looking back. There's the entrance to what used to be a complete field of cane grass. And if I were to walk up to some of this cane grass, because it just looks super tall in the video, but you don't have context, right? So let me walk up to this cane grass here, and if we look down, the pigs have definitely raided in this area. You can see the tracks. But that cane grass there, what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn around and I'm about almost 6 feet tall, and let me see, camera's about level with my face, so that cane grass is a lot taller. And if I go back around behind me, you see that? That is a great lilikoi wall that goes from the treetops to the ground. That will be another amazing feat for another day. Thanks for visiting Mahiku A'o Mai.